On the 7th of June, 2021, approximately 65 miles away from Charleston, a distressed 52-year-old Alex Murdaugh found himself in a state of panic at his estate in Island, Tennessee. In the dead of night, he urgently dialed 911. The reason for this urgent call:
Alex Murdaugh, my wife and child are stuck badly.
Alex revealed to the emergency services that his wife and son had tragically been slain in a brutal manner within the confines of his property. The Murdaugh family has long been recognized as a prominent legal dynasty in South Carolina, boasting a rich history that spans more than a century. The family's legacy in the legal field traces back to Randolph Murdaugh Sr., who was admitted to the South Carolina bar in 1910. Over the years, he established himself as a distinguished lawyer, serving as a solicitor for the 14th Judicial Circuit in South Carolina for 2 decades. The inception of the family's law firm dates back to 1910, under Randolph Murdaugh Sr.'s leadership. Following in their father's footsteps, Randolph Jr. and John also pursued careers in law. The family's commitment to the legal profession extended to the younger generation, with several members, including Alex Murdaugh, joining the family's law practice. Despite recent controversies and legal issues involving certain family members, their enduring legacy of public service and contributions to the legal field remains undeniable. Alex Murdaugh, born to Randolph Murdaugh III and Elizabeth Murdaugh on May 27, 1968, in Hampton County, South Carolina, attended the University of South Carolina, where he earned a degree in political science in 1990. Subsequently, he obtained his law degree from the University of South Carolina School of Law in 1994. Upon completing his legal education, Alex joined the family's law firm, which had been operating for more than 70 years at that point. Alex and Maggie Brensetter, whom he met while both were students at the University of South Carolina, tied the knot on August 14, 1993, in a reportedly grand and opulent ceremony. The couple welcomed 2 children and settled in Hampton County, South Carolina, to raise their family. Paul Murdaugh, the younger son of Alex and Maggie, was part of their loving family. He was born on the 14th of April in the year 1999 and was raised in Hampton County, South Carolina. His educational journey began at Hampton High School, where he excelled in his studies. Upon completing his high school education, Paul ventured into the world of academia at the University of South Carolina, delving into the realm of political science. His elder brother, Buster Murdaugh, a product of the year 1996, also graced the halls of Hampton High School with his presence. However, tragedy struck the Murdaugh family in June of 2021, when both his brother and mother met untimely demises. The fateful night of June 7, 2021, cast a shadow over Alex Murdaugh's opulent estate in Island Town, South Carolina. Anxiously awaiting the return of his wife, Maggie, Alex found solace in the routine of her playing with their cherished dogs in the kennel before retiring for the night. Little did he know that this ordinary evening would soon transform into a nightmare. As the night unfolded, Paul diligently worked on replanting the garden, unaware of the horrors that awaited him. Alex, torn between familial responsibilities, decided to check on his ailing mother before retiring for the night. A text to Maggie went unanswered, adding to the unease that lingered in the air. Upon his return from his mother's house, Alex discovered the absence of both Paul and Maggie. A sense of foreboding gripped his heart as he ventured outside, only to stumble upon a sight that would forever alter the course of his life. The once serene estate now bore witness to a tragedy of unspeakable proportions, leaving Alex shattered and bereft. With a heavy heart, Alex Murdaugh dialed 911 to report the heinous crime that had befallen his family, his voice trembling with a mixture of dread and disbelief. Officer David Owen's arrival on the scene prompted Alex to relive the harrowing events that had unfolded, his emotions raw and uncontainable. Amidst a cascade of tears, Alex narrated the heart-wrenching tableau that had unfolded right before his very eyes. He recounted the gruesome sight of the blood-stained earth and the scattered remnants of his beloved son, Paul, whose brain and organs lay exposed to the elements of the night. Desperately, Alex sought any glimmer of life, his hands quivering as he searched for pulses in his wife and son. Yet, the stark truth soon became apparent. There was no chance of their survival. A law enforcement officer then probed Alex about his presence outside his residence at such a late hour. Alex divulged vital details about his family, elucidating that his ailing parents required his care intermittently. He also revealed that his son Paul had been nurturing the plants that had withered away. When questioned about any disputes with intruders or neighbors, Alex refuted any issues, only alluding to the tragic boating mishap involving his son, Paul. The boating catastrophe that befell Paul Murdaugh transpired on February 24, 2019, in Beaufort County, South Carolina. The tranquil waters of Archer's Creek in South Carolina were shattered by a calamity that would cast a long shadow over the Murdaugh family for years to come. Paul, the scion of the family, was at the helm of a vessel carrying 6 passengers, including the 19-year-old Mallory Beach, when it collided with a bridge support. Mallory was flung from the boat, her body lost in the murky depths. It would be a week before her lifeless form was recovered, her youthful existence extinguished by the tragic mishap. The other occupants of the boat were left injured, their bodies and spirits scarred by the trauma of the collision. At the scene, there is a 6-foot chasm where the boat had fractured, from the bow to the stern. Paul faced 3 felony charges in connection with the incident, yet Mallory's untimely demise left the case unresolved, casting a pall of grief and suspicion over the entire community. The Murdaugh family's esteemed reputation in the region only served to heighten the tragedy, with rumors of a potential cover-up by law enforcement swirling around the case. This unfortunate event marked the beginning of their downfall. The grieving families of the victims would forever carry the pain of their loss. As the investigation into the Murdaugh family's misfortune delved deeper, authorities stumbled upon a disturbing piece of evidence. Bullet casings were found scattered across the Murdaugh estate on the fateful night of June 7, 2021. The implications were chilling, leaving more questions than answers in their wake. Was this the work of an intruder, or did the violence originate from within the walls of the Murdaugh mansion? The air was heavy with uncertainty as the quest for truth continued. The mere possibility that the shell casings could be linked to the murders was a chilling thought, forcing those affected by the tragedy to confront the grim prospect of further senseless violence. In the aftermath of the brutal slayings of Paul and Maggie Murdaugh, law enforcement sprang into action following the discovery of bullet casings at the family's residence. Every inch of the property was meticulously searched, while family members and associates underwent intense questioning as authorities sought answers. The investigation was cloaked in secrecy, with the true extent of the police's discoveries kept tightly under wraps. However, a bombshell revelation loomed on the horizon: the potential connection between the murders and Mallory's tragic boating accident. As the inquiry progressed, potential motives for the heinous crime began to surface. Were the Beach family somehow involved in the murders? Was this an act of revenge, or was there a different motive at play? Another shocking revelation was on the brink of being unveiled. As the inquiry into the tragic deaths of Paul and Maggie Murdaugh deepened, a startling revelation was brought to light. The South Carolina Law Enforcement Division had reignited an investigation into a 2015 hit-and-run incident that resulted in the passing of 19-year-old Stephen Smith. Despite an exhaustive investigation back in 2015, no one was ever held accountable for his demise. Fast forward to 2021, following the murders of Paul and Maggie Murdaugh, the case garnered renewed interest as authorities delved into the potential connection between the murders and Smith's untimely death. Alex Murdaugh, a distinguished South Carolina attorney, was linked to the hit-and-run fatality of Stephen Smith due to his legal representation of the family of the suspected driver involved in the incident. Murdaugh had represented the driver's family in a wrongful death lawsuit filed by Smith's family in 2017, which was settled for a substantial sum of $500,000, with the driver not admitting any fault in Smith's passing. In the aftermath of the Murdaugh family murders, speculations arose regarding whether the Murdaugh family's ties to the hit-and-run case could have influenced the tragic events. The authorities now had two potential suspects in the murder of Alex's wife and son: the Beach family, who had been wronged by the murders, and the Smith family, who had been deceived by the murders. However, the investigation team lacked concrete evidence against either of these families. Amidst the probe into the Murdaugh family murders, another astonishing development surfaced on September 2, 2021. An employee at Alex Murdaugh's law firm stumbled upon a peculiar check made out to Alex Murdaugh, not the law firm, for a staggering $3 million. The check originated from an account owned by the law firm, but had been deposited into Alex Murdaugh's personal account. As the news spread, the law firm confronted Alex Murdaugh, and an investigation by the South Carolina Law Enforcement Division commenced. The employee who discovered the check remained anonymous as the investigation delved into the potential connection between the missing funds and the Murdaugh family murders or other illicit activities. Law enforcement officials meticulously executed search warrants at the law firm and various Murdaugh family properties, conducting interviews with family members, associates, and friends, while also conducting thorough forensic examinations of electronic devices and other pieces of evidence. These revelations, coupled with insights into the Smith hit-and-run case, shed light on Alex's true character. The once distraught father and husband who frantically dialed 911 was now exposed as a deceitful and dishonest individual. Shockwaves reverberated on September 6, 2021, when reports surfaced that Alex had been compelled to step down from his esteemed law firm following the discovery of a $3 million fraud. The check had been funneled into his personal account, sparking suspicions within the firm's leadership. The South Carolina Law Enforcement Division initiated an inquiry into the missing funds, with media speculating about a potential long-standing embezzlement scheme. In the wake of the scandal, the firm's official statement cited Murdaugh's resignation as a necessary step for the firm's and clients' best interests. On September 4, 2021, tragedy struck Alex Murdaugh. While examining a flat tire on a desolate rural road in South Carolina, he was shot, narrowly missing a fatal blow to his head. Initially perceived as a random act of violence, doubts soon emerged. Investigators probed the sequence of events and the extent of Murdaugh's injuries. Was the shooting genuine, or was it an elaborate charade? As the inquiry progressed, law enforcement began to entertain the notion that Murdaugh himself orchestrated the shooting to divert attention from himself as a potential suspect in the murders. The investigation into the Murdaugh family's web of lies and secrets intensified, turning the case into a race against time. As each twist and turn raised the stakes and made the truth more elusive, the question remained: would the investigators be able to crack the case before it was too late? Following the shooting incident on September 4, 2021, Alex Murdaugh made a surprising statement through his legal representatives that captured global attention. In this statement, he admitted to a series of regrettable decisions and announced his decision to seek rehabilitation while stepping back from his duties. The public was left wondering about the nature of these decisions. Were they related to substance abuse or mental health struggles? Speculation ran rampant in the media and among the public. This statement was issued amidst an ongoing investigation into the deaths of his wife and son, as well as allegations of financial impropriety at his law firm. Murdaugh's legal team appealed for privacy and assured that their client was dedicated to making amends. However, with the intense scrutiny surrounding Murdaugh and his family, it seemed inevitable that the truth would come to light. The world waited with bated breath as the dramatic events continued to unfold. On September 14, 2021, a shocking twist occurred when Alex Murdaugh unexpectedly pleaded guilty to charges linked to the shooting incident and made a startling confession that left the public stunned. He disclosed that he had orchestrated a scheme with Curtis Edward Smith to fake his own shooting in order to claim a substantial $10 million life insurance payout for his son, Buster. Prosecutors disclosed that Murdaugh had supplied Smith with a firearm and detailed instructions on how to carry out the plan. This revelation added another layer of complexity to an already intricate and high-profile case, which had been marred by allegations of murder, financial wrongdoing, and intense scrutiny of the Murdaugh family's influential status in South Carolina's legal and political spheres. On September 16th, Alex Murdaugh, a member of the prominent Murdaugh family, was convicted of orchestrating a plan involving suicide. His legal team cited mental health struggles as the reason behind his actions, revealing his reliance on painkillers and other substances to cope. In a remote area of South Carolina, tragedy befell 57-year-old Gloria Satterfield in February 2018. Gloria, a dedicated nanny and housekeeper for over 20 years, suffered a fatal fall at the Murdaugh family residence. Despite a valiant fight for survival, she eventually succumbed to her injuries. However, suspicions arose following her funeral. Murdaugh introduced Gloria's 2 adult sons to his associate, Corey Fleming, promising assistance in uncovering the truth behind their mother's demise. Yet, the sons soon realized they were unaware of the connection between Mr. Fleming and their affluent employer. Furthermore, they had not received any portion of the $2.8 million settlement, part of a $4.3 million agreement, after legal fees. Amidst this tragic sequence of events, Gloria Satterfield's family made a bold claim, accusing the Murdaugh family of being responsible for her death in hopes of obtaining settlement funds. This revelation reverberated throughout the local community in South Carolina, prompting a re-evaluation of the Murdaugh's ties to the legal and political spheres. As the investigation into Gloria Satterfield's passing progressed, it became evident that the Murdaugh family's narrative was far from concluded, with the unfolding tragedy affecting those entangled in their affairs. Fast forward to October 2021, and justice finally caught up with Alex Murdaugh. Law enforcement apprehended him on 2 charges of obtaining property through deceit, a severe felony carrying a maximum sentence of 10 years in prison. His arrest took place at a detox facility in sunny Orlando, Florida. This latest development dealt yet another devastating blow to Alex Murdaugh. As the investigation into the deaths of his beloved wife and son unfolded, it became increasingly clear that Alex's life was unraveling before his very eyes. The team of investigators had finally unearthed the tangled web of lies and deceit that Alex had carefully woven over the years. However, as they delved deeper into his murky past, a chilling question began to emerge. Could the murders of his family members have been a meticulously orchestrated scheme to divert attention away from his own misdeeds? Whispers of a sinister plot to cash in on a hefty insurance payout at the expense of Alex's loved ones began to circulate, casting a dark shadow over his already tarnished reputation. With mounting debts and a checkered history of dubious dealings, suspicions naturally turned towards Alex as the puppet master behind the heinous crimes. The police meticulously combed through Alex's previous statements regarding the fateful day of the murders, uncovering a series of troubling inconsistencies that only served to bolster the case against him. Each new piece of evidence added another layer to the intricate tapestry of lies and deception, keeping the investigators on tenterhooks as they inched closer to the truth. For months, the dedicated team had pored over every shred of evidence in the Murdaugh case, desperately searching for that one breakthrough that would crack the case wide open. And finally, their diligence paid off, a pivotal discovery that would send shockwaves reverberating throughout the community. It all began with a seemingly innocuous video capturing a fleeting moment between Alex and his late son, Paul, mere hours before the tragic incident. In the footage, Alex was seen sporting a light blue shirt as he assisted Paul in planting trees on their sprawling estate. However, when Alex made the distressing call to report the murders, he was clad in an entirely different garment, a pristine white shirt. The revelation sent a shiver down the spines of the investigators, underscoring the gravity of what this discrepancy could signify. Why would Alex change his shirt amidst such a harrowing ordeal? And more pertinently, what other secrets had he been concealing from them all this while? As the pressure intensified, Alex found himself unable to provide satisfactory answers to the investigators' inquiries, leaving them to draw their own conclusions. The emergence of new evidence allowed them to definitively establish Alex's presence at the crime scene on the night of the murders, despite his persistent denials spanning nearly 2 years. This revelation had the potential to unravel the entire case and bring the perpetrator to justice. Alex had initially claimed during police interviews on the night of the murders that his marriage was harmonious and free of issues. However, the discovery of Maggie's wedding ring under the car seat by the estate's housekeeper the following day contradicted this statement, as Maggie was not wearing her ring on the night of the murders. This raised suspicions, as people typically refrain from wearing their wedding rings when marital troubles arise. Once again, Alex was unable to provide a satisfactory explanation. The situation took a turn in favor of the authorities when a local newspaper in Richland County released recorded phone conversations between Alex and his son Buster, in which Buster admitted to engaging in illegal activities. Alex responded humorously, implying his own involvement in illicit actions. This revelation solidified the notion that Alex was not only guilty of fraud, but also deceitful in his interactions with law enforcement. The discovery of a video showing Alex wearing a pale blue shirt at the crime scene contradicted his initial claims of innocence. Furthermore, his failure to deposit $800,000 in lawyer fees into his firm's bank account on the day of the murders indicated a pattern of dishonesty and criminal behavior. The mounting evidence against Alex was sufficient to construct a compelling case against him. The company was compelled to deposit funds into the client trust account. Subsequently, they convened with all clients, clarified the accurate disbursements, and refunded all monies to the clients. Consequently, the firm was obligated to reimburse the funds. Law enforcement speculated that this could have been a motive for the murders on that fateful day. Alex might have diverted the attention of the authorities with the homicides, allowing the embezzlement case to remain concealed. The convoluted saga of the Alex Murdaugh affair had everyone on tenterhooks. From the sudden demise of his wife and son to the exposure of his substantial debt and dubious financial transactions, the narrative possessed all the elements of a gripping crime drama. Just when everyone believed they had unraveled the mystery, the plot took an unexpected twist. In a startling confession in May 2022, Alex disclosed that he owed Miss Satterfield's sons an astonishing $4.3 million plus legal fees, while law enforcement initiated an inquiry into her demise, which had been classified as natural on her death certificate, despite lingering doubts. Subsequently, in December 2022, Alex was charged with 9 counts of tax evasion, with prosecutors alleging that he had swindled individuals out of an astounding $8.8 million. And when it appeared that things couldn't become any more bizarre, the murder trials commenced in January 2023, with Alex accused of killing his own wife and son. The evidence against him was overwhelming, and with his criminal record spanning from Stephen Smith to Miss Gloria Satterfield, it seemed as though the case was airtight. However, Even the most seasoned true crime aficionados were left dumbfounded when, on March 2nd, 2023, the jury rendered their verdict. Alex Murdaugh was indeed the perpetrator of his wife and son's murders. The disclosure reverberated throughout the community, leaving everyone pondering what other enigmas this convoluted case might still hold. At the inception of this case, it was inconceivable that the distressed countenance of Alex Murdaugh, who promptly dialed 911 following the tragic demise of his wife and son, could be the murderer. The meticulous examination of the gunshot residue detected on Alex's attire corresponded with the residue found on the entry and exit wounds of Paul and Maggie. This irrefutably established that the firearm used to end the lives of Paul and Maggie was wielded by Alex himself. Subsequent to this compelling evidence and other incriminating factors, Alex was condemned to 2 consecutive life sentences without the possibility of parole. He was transferred to Kirkland Detention Center, where he would remain for 45 days until authorities determined the most appropriate maximum security penitentiary for Alex.
On the morning of August 3rd, 2007, the day started off bright and sunny for Daniel Burrows, a 61-year-old resident of Mays Landing, New Jersey, along with his 45-year-old wife, Loretta, and other community members. Daniel and Loretta had been married for several years, but things took an unexpected turn that afternoon. Loretta spotted Daniel in the company of a blonde girl, driving a yellow Hummer with Florida license plates. Naturally, she was taken aback and confronted Daniel about the situation. To her shock, Daniel confessed that he was leaving her for the younger lady. Unfortunately, that was the last time anyone saw Daniel. Many questions soon arise. What happened to Daniel? Did he simply elope with the younger woman, or is there a more troubling reason behind his sudden change in behavior and subsequent disappearance? Mays Landing, located within Hamilton Township in Atlantic County, New Jersey, is an unincorporated community and census-designated place. According to the 2010 U.S. Census, the population of Mays Landing was recorded at 2,135 individuals. Notably, it serves as the county seat of Atlantic County, which is situated along the Jersey Shore. As of the 2020 census, Atlantic County ranks as the state's 15th most populous county. Mays Landing is renowned for the popular Baileys Winery, one of the largest wine producers in the state. The residents of this community are known for their easygoing and cheerful nature. In 2007, the crime rate in Mays Landing stood at 329 incidents per 100,000 people, significantly lower than the national average of 472. This is the very community where Daniel Burrows and his wife resided. Daniel Burrows, born on November 6, 1946 in Sheldon, Texas, was raised in the heart of Delaware County, Pennsylvania, alongside his sister, Jean Burrows Gallagher. Due to certain circumstances, they later moved to New Jersey, where his mother, Louise Florio Wontorsic, remarried Raymond J. Wontorsic. Daniel's half-brother, Raymond J. Wontorsic III, quickly became his closest companion. From a young age, Daniel displayed an extraordinary talent for craftsmanship, with his hands possessing a magical touch. His skills ranged from custom automotive paintwork to home construction. Although he did not have a conventional job, his knack for car repairs and renovations kept him occupied and satisfied. In 1960, Daniel attended high school, where he crossed paths with Loretta Doyle, his high school sweetheart. They experienced the highs and lows of teenage love, but their relationship was not particularly serious during that time. Unexpectedly, they went their separate ways after graduation and lost contact for many years. Both Daniel and Loretta moved on and married different individuals. However, they both went through divorces in 1970. Unfortunately, Loretta's second husband passed away in February 1994. Shortly after reconnecting, Loretta and Daniel's bond reignited, and they began dating once again. After 3 years of dating, the high school sweethearts decided to get married in 1997. They settled in Mays Landing, New Jersey, and everything seemed blissful. They blended their families, with children from their previous marriages, and Loretta even had 4 grandchildren. Daniel was a devoted father to these 2 children, Carolyn and Danny Jr., and a loving grandfather to Amanda Costa. However, their marriage was not as uncomplicated as it appeared. Over time, challenges arose beneath the surface of their seemingly smooth relationship. On August 3, 2007, Daniel mysteriously vanished from their home. Loretta recounted that Daniel had departed with a younger blonde woman in a yellow Hummer. As per her account, the woman was a waitress from Florida whom they had encountered during their vacation at a restaurant. Daniel developed a strong liking for the place, resulting in them dining there almost every day of their vacation. Upon their return home, Loretta embarked on another vacation with her daughter's family. Upon her return, she was taken aback to find Daniel in their driveway with the woman from Florida. While she was still trying to comprehend the situation, Daniel announced his intention to go to Florida, the Sunshine State, with her. Loretta insisted that Daniel had always desired to relocate and retire in Florida, a plan she opposed due to the proximity of her grandchildren. Their conflicting views on retirement plans strained their relationship. Following Daniel's sudden move, Loretta was devastated and sought revenge. She contemplated selling their house, but since the property was jointly owned by Daniel and Loretta, she could not do so without divorcing him. Instead, she organized a yard sale to dispose of Daniel's belongings. Unsurprisingly, this action infuriated and aroused suspicion among Daniel's friends and family. Robert Valiant Jr., Daniel's close friend, was perplexed as he knew Daniel cherished his tools for his projects, making it unusual for him to abandon them. Robert confronted Loretta about the yard sale and the abandoned tools, but Loretta asserted that Daniel had no interest in keeping his old belongings and did not wish to take them to Florida. Even Daniel's brother and best friend Raymond found the situation suspicious. Daniel had not shared his new address or informed him of his move to Florida, which they would typically discuss regularly. Daniel's sudden and unexpected departure left those close to him bewildered and concerned. They felt that the narrative did not align, yet they lacked evidence to contradict Loretta's account. However, they were determined to uncover the truth about Daniel's whereabouts and the identity of the mysterious girl who caused him to vanish without a trace. On September 1, 2007, Raymond made the journey from his Pennsylvania home to visit Loretta and officially reported Daniel as missing to the police. The authorities immediately launched an investigation, focusing their search on local databases, particularly in Florida, where Daniel was rumored to have gone. Unfortunately, their efforts yielded no leads or traces of Daniel's whereabouts. Throughout the investigation, the detectives conducted interviews with Loretta, who remained cooperative and forthcoming. They also thoroughly searched her house and property, but found nothing suspicious or out of place. As they delved deeper into Loretta's background, the detectives stumbled upon a past embezzlement case. It came to light that Loretta had embezzled a substantial sum of money, approximately $500,000, from her previous workplace nearly a decade ago. This resulted in a 15-month federal prison sentence prior to her marriage to Daniel in 1997. When confronted with the evidence, Loretta claimed that she had been unfairly targeted by her company and that others were involved in the embezzlement as well. She admitted that she had kept this secret from Daniel out of fear. Surprisingly, it was revealed that Daniel had visited Loretta regularly during her time in prison, but she had not been entirely honest with him about the reason for her incarceration. Ronald Roberts, Daniel's friend and neighbor, also provided some concerning information to the investigators. He noticed dirt on Loretta's hands and clothing during their interactions and detected a foul odor, which she attributed to a dead animal. Additionally, he observed that a broken trellis had recently been repaired. Despite these suspicions, Loretta always had an explanation ready, frustratingly leaving the police without concrete evidence to make an arrest. As time passed, Daniel's case gradually grew colder, leaving his loved ones desperate for answers. In February 2009, Loretta took a significant step in her life by initiating divorce proceedings against Daniel. After enough time had passed, she believed it was justified to end their marriage and sell their house. To formalize the process, a notice was published in the newspaper. However, when the court hearing arrived, Daniel was nowhere to be found. Loretta's plan was to sell their house in Mays Landing and move to Ventnor City to be closer to her daughter and sister. In February 2010, Daniel Burrows' family successfully convinced investigators to reopen the case after the local police established a cold case unit in the county. The family also created a Facebook page called Find Daniel Burrows to gather information. In the page's About section, Raymond, Daniel's brother, expressed suspicion towards Loretta's claim Daniel had left with another woman, leaving all his belongings behind. This raised doubts about Loretta's account of events. The case took an unexpected turn in February 2013 when Raymond, frustrated with the lack of progress, contacted the police. He believed that Loretta might be responsible for Daniel's disappearance and hinted that he might be deceased. Loretta was shocked by the accusations of her involvement in her husband's possible death. She maintained that Daniel had simply run away with a younger woman, but without concrete evidence to support either claim, the police were at a standstill. However, Raymond was determined to uncover the truth. He urged the detectives to investigate the suspicious death of Loretta's first husband. There were suspicions among both family members and friends that Loretta had played a role in his demise. The circumstances leading to his death were troubling. After a period of separation, Loretta and her former husband rekindled their relationship for about a week before tragedy struck, and he tragically overdosed. What deepened the suspicions even further was the fact that Loretta had been responsible for administering his medications during this period. Adding to the concerns, the police discovered that Loretta had received a substantial amount of money following his death. However, to everyone's surprise, she did not share any portion of it with his children. This raised red flags and strengthened the belief that something was amiss regarding the circumstances surrounding his death. Authorities began to suspect that Loretta's involvement went beyond what initially appeared. The similarities to Daniel's case only heightened their suspicions. However, despite their growing doubts, the police knew that without Daniel's body, they couldn't build a murder case. Nevertheless, they did stumble upon a potentially significant piece of evidence, a power of attorney document signed by Daniel. Upon closer examination, this document seemed suspiciously fake. It had been created on June 12, 2007, and had been legalized by an acquaintance of Loretta's, raising even more questions about the events surrounding Daniel's disappearance. It became evident that Loretta's primary motive was the valuable house, which was worth a substantial amount of money, and she was desperate to cash out. Investigators realized that there was more to this case than initially met the eye, and they were determined to uncover the truth about what had truly happened to Daniel. In the early morning of May 17, 2013, the investigators, led by Sergeant Lynn Doherty of the Atlantic County Prosecutor's Office, obtained search warrants for both Loretta's house and the residence where she had been staying with her sister. The search warrants were executed simultaneously, leaving Loretta with no opportunity to tamper with or destroy any potential evidence. Loretta seemed to have an inkling as to why the police were there, as she anxiously inquired if they were planning to search her house in Ventnor City upon their arrival. Detective Caroline McDonald stumbled upon an eerie finding while scouring one of the bedrooms in Ventnor City. To her surprise, she discovered a collection of sizable Tupperware containers meticulously arranged and hidden within the closet. Curiously, these containers were the sole items in the house organized in such a manner. Adding to the peculiarity, air freshener beads and dryer sheets were placed atop these containers. However, the moment the containers were opened, a nauseating odor of decay permeated the air, sending shivers down their spines. To their utmost horror, investigators uncovered bones that had been painstakingly separated into 2 containers, along with a concealed skull nestled within a woman's handbag. Loretta was subsequently apprehended and brought in for interrogation at the police station. In a state of distress, she tearfully admitted to the murder of Daniel and disclosed that his remains were concealed within the closet of her Ventnor residence. However, Loretta presented a narrative of domestic violence, asserting that she had acted in self-defense. According to her account, a heated argument ensued between them, prompting her to retreat to the kitchen and retrieve a knife. Loretta alleged that Daniel aggressively lunged at her, resulting in an accidental impalement with the knife. After the incident, she confessed to placing Daniel's lifeless body in the bathtub. When questioned by detectives about her failure to immediately contact emergency services, Loretta provided a disturbing explanation. She revealed that she had left Daniel's body in the bathtub and proceeded to embark on a vacation. Upon her return, she detailed how she relocated his remains into containers. Notably, Loretta admitted to exhuming and carrying these containers with her whenever she moved. The tragic truths surrounding Daniel Burrows was finally unveiled. Loretta faced charges of murder and obstructing her arrest. During the court proceedings, Loretta initially displayed minimal emotion, but as the testimonies unfolded, she broke down and began weeping. The testimonies commenced with Dr. Charles F. Sebert, Jr., a forensic pathologist who had opened the containers. Dr. Charles testified that the containers were enveloped in 9 layers of plastic bags, meticulously arranged in alternating directions. He also observed the presence of dryer sheets, air fresheners, and scented beads, evidently used to mask the scent of decomposition. Upon opening the first container, Dr. Charles discovered a woman's handbag, its color altered by the fluids of decomposition. Inside the bag, he uncovered a cranium, mandible, skull, and jawbone. The second, larger plastic container contained additional skeletal remains, including the left upper arm and lower legs. Upon examining the remains, Dr. Charles observed incisions on the ribs that were consistent with stab wounds. This led him to conclude that the individual had met a violent end, confirming a case of homicide. Following Dr. Charles' testimony, Dr. Stuart Alexander, a forensic odontologist, took the stand and positively identified the remains in the plastic tote as belonging to Daniel Burrows. He compared Burrows' dental records to the teeth found in the skull, providing further evidence of identification. Donna Fontana, a forensic anthropologist from the New Jersey State Police, also provided testimony regarding the condition of the bones within the boxes. To visually demonstrate the state of the bones, Fontana utilized a replica of a human skeleton and accompanying photographs, offering a clear visual aid for the jury. She specifically highlighted the right tibia, a significant bone in the lower leg, which exhibited distinct signs of being cut with a knife and saw. The consistent color of the cut edge with the bone indicated that the cut had occurred around the time of death. Additionally, Fontana observed that several ribs were missing, and those that displayed trauma showed injuries consistent with knife wounds, with one rib being completely fractured. Fontana emphasized that this pattern of dismemberment is often employed to hinder identification and facilitate transportation. On August 3, 2007, Daniel disappeared, with Loretta claiming he had left for a younger woman in a yellow Hummer. However, the prosecution believed that Loretta had orchestrated his murder. In early June 2007, Loretta approached lawyer Enid Heiberg and requested a power of attorney to be drafted. claiming that she and her husband were selling their home while he was away. Grateful for Loretta's kindness, Heiberg agreed to do it for free. Loretta then sought the assistance of Edward Dwyer to notarize the power of attorney, which she signed in her husband's name without his consent. Loretta's daughter, Nicole Didomizio, witnessed this act of forgery. After Daniel's death, Loretta utilized the fraudulent document to sell their home for $77,000, with half of the proceeds belonging to Daniel. To gain access to the funds, she initiated a divorce in February 2009, alleging that Daniel had relocated to Florida without providing an address. Her divorce lawyer, Daniel Alsofrom, published a notice of the complaint in the press of Atlantic City. During the divorce proceedings, Loretta received half of the money, with the remaining amount granted upon finalization. The prosecutor highlighted that Loretta acquired nearly $100,000, including the proceeds from the sale of Daniel's house and belongings. In his closing statement, Leavis emphasized that Loretta had evaded justice for over 8 years, leaving behind only Daniel's remains. The narrative concludes with Loretta becoming $100,000 wealthier and concealing Daniel Burrows in her closet. Following 2 hours of deliberation, the jury found Loretta Burrows guilty of first-degree murder for fatally stabbing her husband, dismembering his body with a knife and saw, packing it into 2 plastic containers, and dragging it with her as she relocated 3 times within 6 years. On March 17, 2015, Loretta was convicted and sentenced to 55 years in prison, with an additional 3 years added for hindering apprehension. She will be eligible for parole in 2060 when she reaches 108 years old. After receiving her sentence, Loretta broke down in court and expressed her hope that her actions would bring some form of peace to those who had been harmed. Currently, Loretta is incarcerated at the Etna Mahon Correctional Facility for Women in Clinton, New Jersey, where she is expected to remain until her death. Raymond Wontorsic experienced a mix of emotions following the conviction of his half-brother's murderer. Raymond had fought for a trial since Daniel's remains were discovered in May of 2013. He wanted the jurors to witness the gruesome evidence of what Loretta had done to Daniel. Raymond stated, "It was my brother who brought justice to this case. He brought justice to himself. His horribly mutilated body won the case." Raymond compared Loretta's actions to those of a butcher slaughtering an animal, emphasizing that Daniel was not an animal but a kind and gentle person who never caused harm to anyone. Loretta's emotional display in court, coupled with her insinuations of abuse by Daniel, were met with skepticism and dismissal from Raymond and other family members. They believed her tears were fake and her claims were false, suggesting that she only cried because she knew she would spend the rest of her life in prison after being caught. Robert Valiant Sr., a friend of Daniel's, expressed this sentiment. Carolyn Burrows, Daniel's sister, was both outraged and bewildered by Loretta's behavior. She revealed that Loretta had attempted to sell Daniel's belongings shortly after his disappearance and had even advised people not to worry about him. Carolyn questioned how Loretta could have kept Daniel hidden in her closet while moving him from house to house. Assistant Atlantic County Prosecutor Kathleen Bond described Loretta's actions as unimaginable, resembling scenes from nightmares and horror movies. Bond highlighted that Loretta not only brutally stabbed her husband to death, but also dismembered his body with a serrated knife, leaving it to decompose for 6 years. At the time of this video's release, there were no updates on the investigation into the death of Loretta's first husband. Daniel Burrows' story serves as a reminder to persistently advocate for what we believe in. The determination and advocacy displayed by Daniel's family, including the creation of a Facebook page and their push for reinvestigation, ultimately led to the uncovering of the truth. This case exemplifies the power of seeking justice and the importance of persistence. Regarding whether justice was served for Daniel Burrows and whether Loretta's sentence was appropriate, or if she should have received the death penalty, that is a matter of personal opinion.